Hi everyone, this is the 133rd video of the ACT Math Practice Problem series, and here we have an interesting problem from the concept of logarithm. As I always recommend, before seeing the solution, you can pause the video and give it a try yourself. And after that, of course, you want to match with my solution. So let's get started. Here the question says log of square root of 3 times 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 square root of 3, and it goes on up to infinity, right? So logarithm of this quantity for the base of 3 is equal to which of the following 5 options? To solve this kind of problem, let's first try to understand what is the value of the quantity for the logarithm, meaning that square root value, the square root of 3 times square root of 3 times square root of 3, etc., all the way up to infinity. Let's try to figure out what is the value of that quantity, and then we can do the logarithm easily. So now let's assume that that quantity is equal to x. Right? Can we assume that? Okay, so if this quantity is equal to x, so we can say, well, then x is equal to square root of 3 times square root of 3 times square root of 3 times square root of 3, and this continues infinite times. So I'm just putting 3 dots there to indicate that this goes on forever. Now, one thing we need to clearly understand that this quantity is a positive quantity. It will be more than square root of 3, which is 1.7 something. So it will be more than square root of 3, and of course it will be a positive quantity. It cannot be a negative quantity, right? So let's keep that in mind. Now what we are going to do, let's take a square on both sides. That means we are going to square this equation on both sides. So on the left hand side we will have x squared, and then on the right hand side we will have 3 times again the same square root series, right? So 3 again square root of 3, again square root of 3, again square root of 3, and this continues, right? Now if you carefully look at it, if you look at this quantity right here, does that kind of look like x? Since it goes infinite times, it actually looks like x, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, okay, so this must be 3 times x. So then from here what do we get? Well, we got x squared is equal to 3 times x, and if we bring the 3 times x to the left hand side, so that will be minus 3 times x is equal to 0, and from here if we do factoring, it would be x times x minus 3, that is equal to 0, and from here we can say, well, then definitely x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 3. And at the beginning of the discussion we assumed that the value of x is definitely going to be greater than 0, I mean positive, and of course it will be greater than square root of 3. So greater than square root of 3 means greater than 1.7 something. So now if you look at it, is x is actually equal to 0? Obviously not. X is definitely greater than 0. It's not equal to 0. So we have to go with this one. So we can say, well, then definitely x is equal to 3. Alright, so far we have figured out the value of x, and now we are going to plug in that value in the logarithm and calculate the value of the logarithm. So now what do we have? Well, for the log we have log of 3 for the base 3, and that is obviously equal to 1, because the logarithm of a number with the same base is always equal to 1. So in this case our answer is equal to 1, and if you look at our answer options, we have 1 under option B. So option B would be the correct option. I hope everything made sense. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.